Okay, good evening, everybody. Good evening, and welcome to the call for the night. And we're going to go ahead and get started. If you have any questions, um, let's see, I've got a question here from Dana, and I'm going to start with that question. Um, Dana, if you go through the course, Base Camp 2, and that's what I cover in the course, um, is first of all, it has a 60-day trial. And second of all, it's $20, right, for 10 projects. And so it's a lot more reasonable if you and actually, I wouldn't even suggest that you look at Base Camp 3 because the things that they have in Base Camp 3, honestly, for most internet marketers, uh, Base Camp 2 is fine. So even though and they don't they don't promote Base Camp 2. You kind of have to you do have to go look for it. But I do cover how you I mean, you don't it's not a secret as to how you find it. You just Google Base Camp 2 and if you Google Base Camp 2, then there's an entry into the program that way. And that is where I would suggest that anyone who's going to be listening to, our it's kind of in our neck of the woods, I would suggest everybody start there. That's what I use personally. Right? As a matter of fact, I'll show you my desktop here. I personally use Basecamp too, right? So there that's my desktop. I don't know if you can see that, but it has more than enough to um it has more than enough to, I think, handle what we do as internet marketers, right? So yeah, it's more like 20. Yeah, no, yeah, no, yeah, the $90 one is Basecamp 3, and I don't use it. I tried it, and, um, I didn't necessarily, uh, like it. Okay, yeah, Jim is saying, yeah, okay, so, you're directed to yeah, I know that, the guy that yeah, one of my colleagues, he does that, and I'm not even sure why he does, um, because if he's still delivering the links from, um, Amazon, and so I guess it doesn't matter, but I don't know why he does that. I'm gonna ask him that. That's a good question. I don't know why he does that, Jim. I'm gonna ask him that though. Yeah, I know, and I just never have been a fan of it personally. I guess you could save on bandwidth, but um, if you have shared hosting, then that I guess that could be a concern. I've always had a virtual private server, and I've always had one kind of by accident. When I first got started in internet marketing, I well, any suggestions on how to make it more secure? Yeah, put it on your site. Yeah, put the download links on your site, and just set up a download page. Now, I guess if what you're trying to do is you're trying to avoid your page being indexed in search, there's a way to do that, right? In fact, if you were to, let's say you were using, um, let's say you were using optimized press. I know optimized press. I'm going to just do a search. Yeah, and you can see I have it so many times in here. How do you hide a page from the search engine and optimize press? Well, yeah, that could be the thing that they're concerned about, right? Hiding the page and the page getting found in search. There are two things that you can put in there. Now, I don't know if you can put those things in. You could probably put those things in a HTML page, and that would hide the page, right? And that might be what they're concerned about, Jim. Right? So I would definitely put them on the site. Dana's saying, yeah, you can put it. Yeah, so there are two levels of security you could do, right? And I haven't typically done the second level, but what you could do is you could secure the page, And then what Dana is talking about is you could actually secure the link so that there are programs that will rotate the link so that if somebody tried to share it, then it would either kick them out or it would not show the next person the same link. So you could secure the links and the page. I think what they're trying to do is secure the page, honestly. Right. And I need to talk to them about that. I'm not sure entirely how they do why they do that, but I think it's to hide the page. Right, yeah, and Jim, your point's well taken. The membership software would block the links from non-members, yes, and it would also block access. So you'd be using a belt and suspenders in that point. You would be blocking access to non-members to the page, but membership software like Membersonic, the one Dana mentioned, as well as Wishlist Member, will also uh, secure the link. Okay, so is it in my opinion, is it worth it to share the link? I don't know. I don't I don't know, you know? I've gone back and forth about this and um I you know, um I've met some pretty determined thieves in my life and it's kind of like if somebody's really determined they're going to steal from you. I have I won't make this anecdotal too much, but um I have one person that writes in every launch and writes in saying that he lost his access, right? So I think probably I don't know, last month I did a search on social media, and sure enough, this guy does this with all the PLR JVs. So um, so yeah, so there's some pretty determined people, and I guess if you just kind of discourage the people who would be honest, but maybe, their better instincts fail them, then I think that's enough. Yeah, membership press, I'm sure that's fine, right? And the thing about membership sites is that you can really go crazy with them. And you can go so far overboard that you will lose sight of your primary job, and that's to make sales, right? And so what you ultimately have to do is you have to focus on making sales. And what you don't want to do is you don't want your customers being mad at you because your stuff is all over the black hat forums. That's what you don't want. And so if you prevent that, I think, because what you're trying to do is you're trying to you can't prevent a thief, right? You can't prevent a thief. What you want to do on behalf of your customers, though, is preserve their value, right? You don't want it to be unfair to them. And that I think if you do that, then however whatever combination you use, then I think as long as your customers understand it and they're good with it, then I think it's fine, right? So if your customers are good with the secure link, I know if you do it with S2 member, there's a way to do it so that when somebody clicks a link, it'll tell them, hey, you downloaded this 9 times already, but you can still go ahead and download it, right? There's a way to do that in S2 member. And that that could be cool, right? I wouldn't mind that if I were a client or a customer, so I wouldn't mind that. So yeah, there are cases where you could do it and cases where you couldn't. All right. Okay. Any other questions? Those are great questions. Great questions. Okay. I'm talking a minute about I think I said my email. What I do is I just tell you briefly what's going to happen with the seniors promotion. Here's what I'm going to do. I've talked to Laurel I and I've been going back and forth with. I've got a meetup here in Harrisburg that for whatever reason I just cannot get this thing moving. And so we're kind of talking about maybe we'll convert that over into something more for seniors. I don't really know how to do that, but clearly, just from some of the people that have written back in, that doing something for people in their 60s, 70s, and even their 80s, in terms of internet marketing, is viable, right? I've had a lot of people write back and say that. So So we're gonna figure out how to pursue it. My one of my colleagues, Tiffany Lambert, has a package called Internet Marketing for Seniors, and somebody wrote in and said they did not like the term seniors, and I have to agree. I don't necessarily like using that term either. Um, so I'm going to try to avoid using it, but just for clarification, so you'll know what I'm talking about. I said in my email that I would do something, and Tiffany Lambert has a set of resources called Internet Marketing for Seniors. Probably what I am going to do is I'm going to go out and hire our designer to design some graphics for it. When I promoted this for Tiffany before, and what I did was I promoted it and then it did the install. But I think what I'm going to do this time is I'm not going to do the install. I'm actually going to have some graphics design, and Tiffany has agreed to let me make that available for I think 4 or 5 days back at the launch price. Right. So if you're listening, I'll tell you about that on Sunday morning, and probably from Sunday until she takes it back off for me, then I'll make it available. But the graphics will not be ready until our graphics guy is done with them, right? So even though if you're interested in that, you'd have to get the package before I made good on the graphics, and I can't make good on the graphics until my guy is done, right? So he's gonna do that. So I will send an email out on that. Depending on when you're listening to this, it'll go out on Sunday morning. Make sure you kind of read all the way through to the end, and probably at the end of the email, probably in the personal note, I'll put something in there um, about what that is. Um, okay, the Commission Expo. I don't think I even know about it, Jim. Um, yeah, no, I don't think I'm going. I don't know about it. I don't even know who's going. Who's doing it. I think I'll check it out though. Right? Maybe I will. Maybe I will do it. I'm kind of itching to get out of Harrisburg. uh, okay. Any other questions? I appreciate the questions. I appreciate people you guys asking. Um, if you do have a question, just head on over to the YouTube page, and you can write your question in the chat box there. Okay. Once again, as I always say, you can get any of our PLR video at plrexperts.com. You can get any of our PLR video. And of course, on Wednesday and Saturday night, we take questions from the community, right? And anything on PLR. It can actually be written or video PLR. We do video PLR, but we take questions on written PLR also. So here's tonight. What I want to talk about is um, how to take any plan, right? Any plan or blueprint, and make it work to your advantage. Take any plan or blueprint and make it work to your advantage, right? So that's what we're going to talk about. And so everybody probably, if you've been involved in, working from home, and you are trying to put something together. Okay, so Trevor's going, right? Trevor's going to Commission Expo. Um, okay, so how many of you here, right? If I were to ask you at some point, whether it's now or in the past, you've bought an information product and you decided to do it, right? So you just decided, okay, you know what? I bought something from somebody. I'm going to get into the plan. I'm going to follow it and I'm going to do it, right? So if that's you, put a number 2 in the chat box if you've done that, or if you are doing that, or if you've done that. So you got a blueprint and you want to make it work, right? You bought it for this reason, and it doesn't matter how much you paid for it, whether or not you paid 997 or or whether that you paid $997. It really doesn't matter, right? The question, the fact of the matter is, okay, you invested in a blueprint, and really, quite honestly, I think all of you can agree to this. The investment that you make into the blueprint, the most valuable investment is the time. It's not even the money. Because if you put a lot of time into a $9.97 blueprint and you make it work, it was a valuable investment, right? And the investment that you got to get a return on is your time, right? The dollars at some point when you make it work don't really matter as much as the time you put in. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about plans and blueprints. So they're typically going to revolve around a method that has some components. What are we talking about? At some point, it's going to talk about how you get traffic, right? It's probably going to talk about how you turn that traffic into leads. It's probably going to talk about at some point how to turn the leads into sales. It's going to talk about how to turn the sales into repeat customers. It's going to talk about how to turn repeat customers into long-term customers. It's going to talk about some of that. And it's going to talk how to turn those long-term customers into people who are going out and talking about you, how to turn those long-term customers into evangelists, right? So any plan or blueprint at some level, right? Now, maybe they don't cover all these things. It's going to cover most of these things. It's going to cover some of these things. And it's going to put you in position to do some of these things. And so this is going to be true whether or not the blueprint you've purchased is going to be one where you're a product creator or you are an affiliate. Could be either one. Doesn't really matter. Um, and so here's the question, right? So how is it that some plans can work for some people, and yet if you follow the very same steps, how many of you have experienced that? Where you're right next to somebody, or you came up with somebody as an internet marketer, or you know somebody really well, and you both got the blueprint. You're talking to each other. They're putting it into place. You're putting it into place. It's working for them and it's not working for you. How many of you all have experienced that? So if you've ever experienced that, put the number 3 in the chat box. If you've had that experience where you're with somebody, you're both following the same blueprint. It's not yet working for you, but it's working for them. And and one of the things that I have asked, and you might have asked the same thing, why does that happen? I'm going to try to touch into that a little bit. And the fact of the matter is that really and truly, right, you and I cannot make an analysis until we start and finish it, right? So even if we finish it badly, so the only way we're going to be able to take any blueprint and then to analyze what happened is we've got to finish it. At some point we've got to follow it all the way through. Even if we don't do a great job of it, we got to push through and finish it. I mean, again, I know I'm not telling you anything. I know you already know that, and I know that's something that you've heard before, but again, it needs to be said that most of us understand, right? You know, one of the things I like about internet marketing right now and the position that it's in is the industry is maturing, right? Yes, there are newbies, but the industry is maturing. And most people who get started with things now, it's an established fact that jumping around between things doesn't work for us. Right. So if you've been involved in internet marketing any length of time, you already know that. Right. And the industry is now, I think, at the point where most people who've been involved 2-3 years, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, we know and fundamentally understand we can't jump around and try to do everything, even though we want to. And even though we could make something profitable, even though we could do all these other things, even though we could probably do content and software and all these other things at the same time, we know now that basically one of the keys to success is to get really good at something right now. So once you kind of understand that, right, there's 7 ways to kind of look at a plan, any training or any blueprint you're working on. We're going to talk about 7 things you can look at, 7 things you can kind of think about when you're looking at a plan. So you're in one, or you've been in one, or you're working through one. And I think this really simple framework will help us to kind of step back through to kind of figure out, okay, what can I do to make this work or make this work better? Now, you know, plans vary in price and length, right? And I just talked about that a little bit ago. I'm gonna just kind of mention Russell Brunson here, not because Russell Brunson is the end all be all. I'm just gonna mention this because it's a good illustration of how plans vary in price and length, right? You can pay $25 for I think it's .com secrets and expert secrets. Right, you could get both of those books for $25, paperback, get them in your home, and you could follow that plan. That is the plan that he's laid out for, I think, years now. And if you could follow that plan, you could. It is probably really key to a lot of people's success. You could become an affiliate, right, in the ClickFunnels system and market ClickFunnels. That's going to cost you $97 a month, but there is a plan that they've laid out. And you can follow that plan. And some people make sales and some people don't. Again, that's going to cost you $97 a month. But again, is that $97 a month different from the $25? It probably isn't. Right? Because it isn't, only because what you're still doing is you're still looking at a plan you're trying to follow that they're laying out for you. You can buy, I think it's .com secrets and expert secrets for $97. I mean, you can pay for that one time and you can listen to it in audio. Again, it's the same content that's in the $25 audio, $25 paperback book. It could just be that you follow this plan a little easier if it's coming through your ears. You can pay $297 for what they call Funnel U. Right now, they've got some extras in there, but basically what they're talking about doing is, how are you going to build a funnel? Right? How are you going to structure an offer? How are you going to drive traffic to that offer? Again, that is what they're talking about. Again, it's $297, but it's still the same basic thing. You are following a blueprint, and you are following that blueprint so that you can, generate some kind of success. You can pay $700 for, I'm not sure what they call it, right? I think I went out there 2 years ago and I can't funnel hackers live, funnel hacking live. That's where their summit, right? I think the ticket cost me something like $700, right? And basically it was expert secrets, right? He taught expert secrets, and he had some speakers. And honestly, I probably got it more from having attended that than I would have gotten if I had read the book. Right. So I'm glad I went, because I wouldn't have really fully gotten with the whole expert secrets thing. It didn't make sense to me until I actually went to that. But again, it's a plan, it's a blueprint. You can pay, and I've got a friend who's doing this. You're paying Russell $25,000 a month. He's walking them by the hand through the system of creating funnels, of driving traffic, of getting offers. Again, but it's still a blueprint, right? And what I'm trying to get you to understand is, it really does not matter what you pay, right? What really matters is what you put in terms of time. I'm going to tell you how to invest your time right today. Now, so again, so the blueprint, quite honestly, I'm indifferent to. If you bought a blueprint and you're putting it into place and you're getting ready to make it work, more than likely you've got what it takes to make it work, right? But let's talk about this. So which one of these as a student would be the most beneficial? And we don't know, right? We don't know. Does it depend on how you learn stuff? Maybe, right? I didn't understand, right, what was an expert secrets until I went there, but I still haven't fully implemented it, right? So I mean, does it really matter that I learn better in person? I don't know whether it does, right? We don't know yet, because I haven't put it in place and analyzed it. Does it depend on having somebody to be accountable to? I don't know, right? Until it's put into place, we really don't know. So basically, whatever you're involved in, whatever I'm involved in, we've got to be able to adjust 7 things. If it's not working, right, whatever we're doing, if it's not working, the blueprint's not working, there's 7 things we can adjust. The first thing we can adjust is price, right? Do we have the right price? Is the price high enough, or is the price low enough? If you've already put your offer and made it available. So again, this means that wherever you are in the blueprint, you are now at the point where you have made an offer. You have put your offer in front of somebody. So again, if you haven't done that part, then you and I have to get there first, right? We've got to get to the point where that offer is in front of somebody, even if the offer is not necessarily selling anything. What you're selling is the opt-in. In other words, if somebody comes to your opt-in page and they're interested, but they still don't give their name and email address, right? The price for that is too high for them to put in their name and email address. So again, regardless of how you look at price, regardless of what you're offering, you're going to have to adjust the price so that, again, whatever you're asking for, people are going to look at the value of what they're about to get versus what they're about to pay and say, I have to have this. There are some cases, how many of you, and I think you've probably been there, where your email address is a small price to pay for what was actually promised, what you're about to get in the opt-in. Right. So when I opt into something at this point, I don't opt into a whole lot of things, but when I opt into something, it's because at some level, I think that the value is so incredibly high. Getting on somebody's list is a small price to pay. And so if that's not happening for you at the point of opt-in, then you've got to adjust the value proposition. You got to adjust what they're going to get. You got to adjust the promise. So again, the price is important at the point of entry. The pitch. Right now, I'm not talking about marketing right now. I'm not talking about how you got the value, getting the right people to the page. I'm talking about once those people are there, the pitch has to be right. So we can adjust the pitch if people are coming to the page. If we're getting people there and they're on the page. They're clearly reading. They're clearly looking and evaluating, but they're not making or taking any action. We probably need to adjust our pitch. We have to adjust what we're saying. We have to adjust maybe how we're saying it, but we have to adjust the pitch. Maybe it is that we need to be more personal, right? So in other words, I mean, yeah, of course, I mean, people buy from those whom they loan, like, and trust, or they opt in with those people too to some degree. But maybe the adjustment you and I need to make is we've got to figure out how we can get to be more personal. Man, again, I'm going to talk about how we can do that here after the slide. Now, again, positioning is everything, right? Positioning. Now, again, I don't have to know you if your reputation precedes you, right? So it depends on how you position yourself. It depends on whether or not you got the only thing in the market. If you're the only place I can get it, right, in the positioning, then I'm probably going to opt in anyway, even though I don't like you, if I don't know you, if your positioning's right. So again, you can adjust position so that you take a place in the market. So you take the place in a niche that somebody else doesn't have. You and I have to do that constantly. Because again, look, internet marketing works like this. Internet marketing is such that I can always count on the fact that anytime I take a position in the marketplace, it's not too hard for somebody to come behind me, right? So again, and I'm gonna talk about what you need to look at. But again, internet tools are not that hard to. They're not that expensive. People can learn how to do stuff. You can hire out graphics. You can hire out strategies. You can hire out programming. So again, even if you take a position, somebody can catch up with you. There are some things that you can do. I'm going to talk about that. So again, you can adjust positioning if your offer's not working. You can adjust your position in the marketplace. You can be more persistent because again, sometimes it's all about angle. Sometimes you're going to take. Sometimes it just may be that the person hasn't seen your offer enough, right? So in other words, the problem might not be your price. It might not be your pitch. It might not be the fact they don't know you. It might not be the fact that you're not positioned right. It just may be that it was the first time they saw the offer and they're just not ready, right? So persistence, right, is another thing. Sometimes what it takes is a partner. So in other words, if you're at the point and you're not getting your offers to the marketplace, you've got great ideas and you're just kind of barely getting them out there. Right, you're just kind of barely getting out there. Ugly sales page, ugly presentation. Look, you might need to partner. There is a point at which you make an evaluation, and I've heard the well, I can put an ugly sales page up. I've heard that before, and I think maybe to some degree that's true. I don't know if you can do that long term, right? And if you can partner with somebody, sometimes the missing thing is that you need somebody who does not have what who has what you don't have, right? And then passive. And actually, what I would put there is portion, right? Not passive, but portion. That's really what I want to put there. So that's what you can adjust. Let's talk about how you're going to adjust it. So how do we adjust these 7 things? How do we adjust them? On price, we can adjust different price points, right? We can test different price points. Whether you're looking at the opt-in or whether you're looking at a sale, you can test different price points. And again, maybe you're not going to do it on the same offer, but you might bring back that offer, right, in a different way, but you're going to test different price points. There is a theory. I don't know if there's a theory, but there's a way of doing business that you're going to take. And this is basically, and I'm gonna step back for a second, and I'm gonna talk a little bit about Russell here for a second, again, because I do want to talk about this for a minute. Now, how, if I were to ask you, what do you think is going on here with Russell, right, in terms of pricing? If I were to tell you that this, for the most part, is the same content, right? What do you think if I were to ask you what's going on with Russell and price here? Well, I can tell you. Basically, there's something that everybody can buy here, right? There's something you can afford. Something you might not. Maybe $25 is not your thing, but he's going to put the funnel information in your hands, and so at some level, he's going to get you to buy this information. And so one of the things when you start talking about adjusting in terms of price, you and I can do this. This is doable for us, that we can have something for somebody to buy at every price. Right now, maybe that might not be conducive to your niche, but again, might take time to develop the offer. But part of any strategy sometimes is getting things into people's hands at the price they can afford it or at the price they're willing to pay. And again, I know some of the people who bought that book, .com Secrets, and ended up being the $25,000 person. I mean, that's why he does it. But again, he still got the information in their hands and he got in there at $25 because that's what they could afford. That's what they were willing to spend. That's what they trusted him to spend. So again, test different price points. And if you need to, try to adjust so that you have something for everybody to buy at the same price. Um, again, test your pitch, adjust your pitch, and split test your pitch. So in other words, A/B split testing is I'm going to do 2 sales pages. And my two sales pages are going to be um, my two sales pages are going to be um, basically they're one version of a sales page, and then the other version of the sales page. Am I I don't know if I'm sharing my screen right. I'm looking at the view. If you're seeing, is everybody seeing my screen? I wonder if you're seeing my screen. I'm looking at. Let me just make an adjustment here. Let me make an adjustment here. Okay. All right. You're seeing my screen. Okay. Good. Okay. Um, we're talking about making a split. We were talking about split testing and adjusting your pitch so that what you're trying to do is you're trying to figure out what's working, right? You have to figure out whether or not somebody liked your headline, maybe whether or not they liked your sub headline, and so so A/B testing it's something we could probably cover all over. Like we could cover split testing in one session, ad nauseum ad infinitum. We could cover that forever. But basically, the idea here is you're going to test different pitches. Right now, I talked about this last week. You and I can build an audience, right? Build an audience, and if you haven't seen last week's weekend Q&A, take a look at that because again, that's how you become personal, right? Because it's I don't know if everybody can talk about their personal life and have people like it and still buy from them. And again, I don't think that you have to do that, but I do think people need to be able to see you. They need to be able to hear your voice. They need to be able to kind of feel like, okay, I sort of know them. And so however you do that, one of the best ways to do that is to have a blog or a video blog or a video or a training, a regular training. Again, build an audience. Do something where somebody's coming to see and hear you on a regular basis. Do a blog post. It really doesn't matter which one you do. You just really do have to be, I think, you got to kind of be um, um, at a level where people sort of know what's happening. They know who you are and they know what's going on. Right? Okay. Positioning, right? Positioning. So let's talk a little bit about positioning. Um, you and I have to find the gap in the marketplace between what's being offered and what you can uniquely deliver. And that is again, that's not easy to do. I understand that. But it is something that we do have to do. And we've got to establish something that they used to call this in business school sustainable competitive advantage. And it's not just some fancy term, right? Because again, you have to figure it's easy for me to come behind you and copy if I see you doing something that's working, right? That's the upside of the internet is we can find a market real quick and exploit it, right? We can find a market fast. We can create something out of our brain. We can put it together. We can get it to the marketplace. We can sell it, right? That's the benefit. The downside to that is it's probably going to be pretty easy for somebody to copy us. And so what you got to try to do, what I have to try to do, what we all have to try to do is when we find something that's working, even with a blueprint, is we've got to establish some kind of way that we've got a competitive advantage and we can sustain it. So what does that mean? Sometimes it's a level of experience we have in something that we bring to something that other people just do not have, right? And again, I don't know what niche you're in, But if you're bringing some level of experience that you can do little things inside of the product that other people cannot do, then what you're bringing means then that I can only come to you to get that experience. I can only come to you to get what you're bringing to the product. So again, you can adjust you can adjust what you're doing in the blueprint based on your experience. You can adjust it based on some kind of training you go out and buy. Now, again, when I talk about training, I want to be careful here, right? I'm not talking about certification, not in our market. So again, certification is good. And certification, sometimes you can market your certification and sometimes you can't. It's not a definite. Now, if you're going to get training, you want to make sure that that training is something that's going to show you how to do something that you're going to be able to bring some kind of information to the marketplace that other people are not going to be able to bring it to the marketplace really fast. So in other words, are you learning something right now? Right at this moment, are you taking something? Let's say you're paying a little more for some kind of training that other people are not getting because you're going to bring something to the marketplace that if I tried to come in and copy you, I wouldn't be able to do it in 3 months time, 4 months time, 5 months time. And your advantage is going to be this training that you paid for. So again, one way for you to establish a sustainable competitive advantage is to get some kind of training that allows you to bring something to the marketplace that again, it's going to be hard for me to come behind you and copy. Right. So if you get what I just said about that, right, about sustainable competitive advantage, please put the number 3 in the question box if you get that part. Right now. And now one other thing that you can do is that if you cannot change the nature of what you're delivering, one of the things that you can do, right, to position yourself right is to change how it's delivered, right? You can change how it's delivered. So in other words, it's not so much that you change the inside of the product, you change the way people get it. You change their experience with it. And again, sometimes what this does is this means you can charge a little more than the marketplace because you're not just competing on the basis of having all the same stuff they do or on the basis of price. You're doing something totally different that, again, the customer really likes because of the way you deliver something. So again, if you can't change what's being delivered, one of the things you can do is change how it's being delivered. And that helps you to position yourself someplace different in the same market, in the same niche. Um, Persistence. In other words, same offer, same pitch, different angle. Right. So again, it's been said. Now, I've heard when I did offline PLR, one of the things that got discussed among consultants, and I think this is true, that there were 12 that a business owner is probably going to need to see and hear something 12 times before it gets into their brain that this is an offer. So in other words, if you stopped at the fact that you sent them an email, then it isn't that they don't want what you have. It's just that you were not persistent enough. And so that business owner basically needs 12 different touches. And so, at that point, in the offline world, that means, maybe that means video, maybe that means, a fax, maybe that means a letter, maybe that means a package, maybe that means a visit, whatever the case is, those 12 touches amount to, oh, this person is serious. They want me to buy something. Right. So I don't know what that translates into in our world as information marketers, but again, we might need to find a different angle, right? It may not so much be that, okay, so you sent an email, they didn't respond. So you got to try another angle. Maybe you got to try to reach them then on Facebook. Now, again, I know I'm not a big fan of Facebook, but again, the fact of the matter is if people are not responding, right, the way you're delivering, then you got to try another angle. And sometimes something will work if you try a different angle. So again, persistence is going to be, listen, you don't have to change the pitch. You don't have to change the offer. You're going to change the angle. Sometimes you need to partner with somebody. My friend Dwayne used to say this differently. Some people just don't want to take a little bit of a lot. They want to take a lot of a little bit, right? And so what I say is half of 2 launches is as good or better than getting all of 1, right? So in other words, you might do 2 if you get a partner, right? You'll get half of those. And you might do 1 and you get all of that. You might not get it done the way you want to get it done because you're missing some things that other person has. Right. So again, find somebody that has what you don't have. Please don't think that I'm saying it's easy to find a partner. It is not. Right. So don't partner up fast. Now, again, when you're in a partnership, it's just like being hired. I mean, the rule in human resources is you fire fast and you're slow to hire. So in other words, if you're going to partner up with somebody, you take your time. But when something's not working, you get rid of them, right? You end a partnership and it ain't working. If it doesn't even look like it's working, you end it. But again, take your time. A partner's not easy to find, but once you find one, then you really do have something where you've got something they're missing, they've got something you're missing, and then um, most of the problems that I see in our industry, right, and just from what I've seen over the years, is that people do it the other way around. They partner up fast, and then they unwind slow, right? So it takes them a long time to figure out, well, is this guy stealing from me, or is this guy doing this part of this, doing this share of the work? Is this guy talking about me behind my back? And and so it takes people a long time before they say, you know what? Okay, no, we're done. This is not going to work for us. When really it's supposed to go the other way around. When you partner with somebody, you partner up really slow, right? You turn down partnerships for any little reason. You don't like any little thing, you turn it down. And then when you find one that works, you jump on it. And then if something's not working, you get rid of them fast, right? So partner slow, unwind fast, and then portion it out, right? So spend some time. If it's not working, if all else fails, right? If all else fails, you think your pitch is right, your price is right, you've got this audience, then you got to find some people to kind of you've got to deliver the value over time. So in other words, change the price so that it's not as much for me to bite right now. Give me a little bit of it now, and then give it to me over the course of the next 12 months. Now, again, I know recurring products are harder to sell, but here's what you got to remember about recurring income, recurring products. You and I have to make it so that the value is huge, and what you're asking for in terms of price is small. And I know I say this every week, and I want to keep saying it. It's not that I've never been a great multi-level marketer, and I'm not one now. But I think they really do have something when they say that you've got to make sure the value is 10 times what you're asking for in terms of price. And you might say, now, what does 10 times the value mean? You and I know what that means, right? We know what it means. It means then that when I look at your sales page and I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, well, man, do I get all of this for just $10? I get all of this for just $97. I get all of this just for $297. If we're not saying that, if you're not looking at your sales page and you're not saying, wow, man, they're getting a lot of stuff for $997, whatever you're charging, then more than likely the value is not great enough to make people say, I gotta have this. Right. And so sometimes if the value is there and you don't want to lower the price, you can then say, hey, pay me overtime, right? Just pay me $97 over the next 12 months. And so that is really how we start to like really make these adjustments in let's say if you're in a program and it's not working, right? Or you feel like it's not working and you're doing everything you said, walk through this checklist, right? See if you can adjust the price. See if you can adjust the sales pitch. See if you can be more personal and develop an audience. See if you need to position yourself. See if you can be more persistent and change the angle. See if you can find a partner that will help you deliver. And then if all else fails, take what you're offering, break down the price, and give it to people over time. Now, here's what the average is. Now, the average is that more than likely after 4 or 5 months, people are going to start to question. You're going to have to keep up the value. One of the ways you do that is you step up the value. So, in other words, and this is we could just do a whole thing just on memberships, but you and I, we have to try to step up the value, right? So instead of getting the same thing over the time, we have to try to step up the value, right, over time. All right. Okay. So any questions? Any questions on the adjustments? Any questions? Any questions? Okay, so you can pick up our Basecamp PLR at theplrshow.com/new. You can pick that up there. And you can get onto our daily newsletter at the plrshow.com. If you're watching this and you're watching this on YouTube and you're not getting our daily email where we talk about PLR every day, then please make sure you sign up here, right? And then drop me a line and let me know that you're there. Just when you get the first email, just send a reply and let me know you're on, and then tell me a little bit about what you're trying to do online. So the plrshow.com. And then we now I have a Facebook group, and as I said, I post in this group. I pretty much use that Facebook group in order to let people know that the webinars are happening. So that's where I'll always put the announcements. Typically, maybe about 30 minutes to 5 minutes before we start, I will post the announcement. But on Saturday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'm typically going to be here unless there's just something that's not happening, right? But I will put the announcement there. The link will always be there. You can always find it there. Facebook.com/groups/the PLR show. I spend the most time on my YouTube channel, and you can get that at youtube.com/gain mindshare. Make sure you go ahead and subscribe so you get all of our PLR related videos when they come out. And yeah, and then get all of our additional video courses at the plrshow.com/PLR experts. I think that's going to take you to one of my pages. Just click through to the page and you can find it there. Okay, yeah, I'm going to give, let me put that in there, Jim. Oh, no, that's awesome, Jim. Thank you. Groups/the PLR show. Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? Any other questions? Okay. So yeah. Tomorrow I will talk about what I'm gonna do with Tiffany's thing, and maybe I don't know if we'll form a group. Oh, maybe I got that. Maybe I got it wrong, right? Eh, let me see what that is. I might have it wrong. Let's try it. Let's try it this way. Let's do it this way. We'll do facebook.com. Just grab this, copy this, and I'll put that in there. Hopefully that'll work. Okay. I might have typed it in there wrong. Okay. Any questions? Any questions? Oh, goodness gracious. Well, I'm gonna have to check that out, Jim. I don't know why that would not be there. Why that would not be there. I don't know the answer to that. That's interesting. I will check that out though. I know it's there, but I don't know why I can't get there. Why I can't get you there. But I will check it out, and then I will try to get that. I'll try to get that out to everybody in the email. So sorry about the bad link. I'm not sure why it's happening. Well, okay, everybody. Well, thank you very much for being here. As always, I appreciate you all. Have a great weekend and a pleasant tomorrow. Take care.